Good morning, afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and welcome to the PMDG 777-200LR. In today's video, we're going to go over the ins and outs of the 777. We're going to go over the outside. We're going to take a look up close at the aircraft, go over some of the details, and then we'll hop into the cockpit, we'll take a look around, we'll go over everything in there, as well as take a look inside the cabin. Then after that, we'll get the plane up in the air, we'll see how it flies, and then I'll give my overall thoughts and opinions on if this aircraft is right for you. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So this aircraft is about $50. It's a little bit cheaper than the 777-200ER, which is at $75. Not very many people know about this one. They see the 777, they see the 300ER and the 200ER, and they see the price and they're like, oh, well, that's a lot of money. But lo and behold, we have this one at $50, and it gives you all of the things that a PMDG aircraft would give. We are finished in the Delta livery today. We are not running the PMDG house colors. So let's walk up close here to the nose gear. You can see everything here looks nicely detailed. Even the chocks are nicely detailed, so that they've been used before. Looking up here, you can even see how nicely detailed this gear is with the writing for toe position and everything. Even looking up into where it's stowed. Look at that. Walking down the back of the aircraft over here to my favorite engine of all time, the GE90. All the fan blades are nicely detailed, as well as the cowl. Walking over to the side here, you can actually see more detailing on the wing. Even nice writing, showcasing up-close details on the engine. Even the back here looks very nice. These are 4K textures, so depending on your simulation, what kind of computer you're running, you might see slightly different results. Moving over here to the main landing gear, you can definitely see some detailing, and as we get up close, you really start to see how well of a job the team did at detailing an aircraft like this. Showing the weathering here on the rims, as well as see tire writing here. Looking back here on the actual gear mechanism itself, you can see the brakes, you can see oils and greases for all of the pinions and pins that move about. All the hydraulic lines that lead all the way up. And even in where the gear is stowed, it's all detailed. Moving to the back of the aircraft here, you can see how nicely detailed the textures are for the fuselage. You can even see the heat coming off of the APU. This plane is an absolutely massive piece of equipment. It's a shame that Delta got rid of them. There's only a few left in the world. All the doors function. It's nice how you can see how everything rests when the hydraulic pressure is not on any parts of the aircraft. Again, nice details throughout, showing weathering, signs of wear and tear. but also keeping a nice clean look to the aircraft. Even right here at this cargo door, you'll see the weathering. Nice touches and details. Now you can't actually open the doors on the outside of the aircraft like you can on some of the default ones. But that's okay. But overall, the outside is very nicely detailed. Everything looks fantastic, as you'd expect from any PMDG aircraft. So, let's go ahead and hop in the cockpit and take a look around. So here we are in the cockpit of the 777. Just as you would expect with any Boeing aircraft, it kind of has that grayish look like you'd find in the 767, 757, 747. Pretty much every single switch and knob in this aircraft works, except for these pins up here. Even these switches and guards over here do function. They have some kind of function. Everything that you would need to get the aircraft up and running functions as it should. You can see that sometimes you'll see like it'll have an on and off like that, and you might have to click it to actually get it to function the way it's supposed to. That's just something with this aircraft. Like with the fuel pumps and such like that, you actually have to click them a couple times in order for the like the fault switch. It'll say fault and on at the same time. Sometimes you just got to click it a couple times, and then it'll function the way it should. Landing lights, the seatbelt signs, all your other exterior lights, they all function as they should. Same with the wipers, everything for the electrical. You can even deploy the ram air turbine, the RAT. Everything you need is here. Moving down towards the main displays, your PFD, MFD, ICAS, they all work as intended. Looks just like your standard Boeing aircraft, nothing too crazy right there. Same with the yoke, you know, it's your typical Boeing yoke. Over here to the autopilot panel, everything here functions as it should. You can adjust things as you need to, so on and so forth. So coming down here, we're going to go into the FMC real quick. And one thing you're going to find is this is where all of the stuff for customizing your PMDG experience is stationed. So over here we have two buttons here for PMDG setup, and then your simulation actions. We will start with the PMDG setup. So this you can go through and you can customize how you want your aircraft to be, whether it be on the ground when you're first loading into your flight, and you could just customize the overall feel of the aircraft and kind of all of the functionality. If we click on this, you can go through and you can customize the equipment how you want certain things to respond. If you want certain things on or off, you can go through this and customize everything to your liking. There's a lot of systems, a lot of stuff in here. I'm not going to go over all of it in depth, as this is just a quick little go through, as there is a lot to cover. Even over here to the displays, you can customize all of your displays, what kind of units you want. Again, customizing it perfectly to your liking. And just like with other add-on aircraft, you can also simulate different failures, whether it be engine failures, APU, autopilot, communications. You can do pretty much anything, and you can simulate a type of failure at any moment in time. You can have it set to where it happens on takeoff, where you could be up 35,000 feet in the air and then have an engine failure, and then you can simulate the procedures required to get you back on the ground safely. If we go back to setup here, different panel states. So on the default settings, when you first get the aircraft and you load it up, as soon as you enter the cockpit, they will kind of go into an APU running state, which is how this aircraft is set right now, because I have not messed with anything like this. But you can go through and you can set up your aircraft however you want it to be. If you want it to be as if it was on the apron, sitting there waiting for your passengers. If you want to go through the complete cold and dark setup, going through everything, turning on your battery, APU, aligning the IRS, everything. And there's a couple pages that you can go through and customize. When you click load state and you click that button and click execute, it will take the aircraft and it'll put it into that panel state, whether it be with the engines on or off. Go in here to options. Again, more customization. How you want the aircraft to respond, customizing it to your liking. A lot of this, for this video, I have left on just the default settings, just so you can kind of see what you're getting into when you first purchase the aircraft. Colors. Now this is pretty cool. You can actually go through and you can customize how you want your screens to look, which is very, very unique. Something very cool. You can go through and you can customize all of the colorization for the aircraft displays. And if we go back to setup, back to menu, and here is your FS actions. So this controls a little bit more parts of the aircraft, cabin lights, everything for maintenance. It basically, you can go into here and you can request fuel truck, catering, jetways, or stairs, depending on where you're at. You can get your fuel. You can see just how much fuel you have. And then you can click these buttons and you can see down here we loaded up with 89% fuel. You can go back to short range and it'll adjust everything accordingly. So you click on this and you can customize again everything with the aircraft. Same with here. Again, go to maintenance. You can go through, do the maintenance part of the simulations. You can go through again. You can request everything for your trucks and jetways and things like that. You can set and remove the chocks from there. It's pretty cool how they have this all set up. It's very nice. And then here, the FMC, this is the menu that pops up when you first go in. Then when you click on FMC, this is where you get into the bread and butter of programming the aircraft for your flight. Standard Boeing settings, you go through. This does have great integration with SimBrief and Navigraph. So using SimBrief, you can import your flight information and have it come over here to the FMC. And then you can go through and plan your departures, arrivals. You can plug all of this stuff in just like with any other airliner that there is. So with that, let's go over to our PMDG tablet, which is found over here on the left hand side. You can also, fun little fact, you can come over here and if you click in this general area, you can pull up the PMDG tablet, so it makes it a little easier for you to plug in certain things. So here we are. You have all of your manuals. You have to scan a QR code, and then that'll pull up all of the manuals for the PMDG aircraft for whichever PMDG aircraft you have, whether it be 737 or this. Going into the electronic flight bag. So this has everything, again, from SimBrief. I don't have anything going right now, so there's really nothing happening. But you'll go through here and it'll show you all of the details for your flight, where you're going to, where you're coming from, passengers, weight, how much fuel will be on board, your cost index, everything. Right here would be where your Navigraph charts are, so you can see kind of what's happening. You know, the charts for your airport, you know what airport you're at if you don't know where you're going. Also, the charts to make sure you get to your destination safely. Another QR code to make sure you authenticate yourself. I just have all of this disabled for this aircraft right now, just to kind of show you the raw, what it's like when you first get it. And here you can customize certain parts of the tablet, make sure that all of your units are correct, as well as making sure that your SimBrief ID and everything is correctly punched in. These two also have to do with your SimBrief flight as well, that I cannot click on because I do not have it active. And then the information just kind of tells you general information about the tablet as well as the aircraft. So we are going to skip these two. We are going to come over here to ground operations. So just like what we saw in the FMC with the FS actions, this shows everything that is going on with the aircraft. We will start here with ground connections, so you can do your GPU, the kind of jetway you're doing, or if you're doing stairs, remove your chocks, request certain vehicles for your ground connections. Going over here to ground service vehicles, again, just like we saw in the FMC, you can go through here and request whichever you need to get all of your cargo, passengers, and such all loaded up. And if you want to have all of it, you can just request all. If you want them all to go away, just click release all, or you can release each individual vehicle individually. Over here to the doors, you can open up every single door from here. Again, there's quick open, open all, close all, you can arm all. Whatever you need to make sure that you are good to go for your flight. Coming here to the ground maintenance. Now this is one thing that is really cool about the PMDG aircraft, is they do simulate wear and tear. Even if you have some of the things disabled in the actual flight sim settings themselves, like the engine stress and so on and so forth, there are some things where it will simulate usage and wear and tear. You can simulate your hydraulic fluids, your fire bottles, engine oil. There is a setting that you can adjust to where it'll automatically refill those on each individual start of a flight. So when you first load in, it will be at 100%. Or you can have that disabled and you can kind of monitor the aircraft and make sure that everything is where it should be. The other thing that you can see, so you have the whole setting of the aircraft. If I highlight something, so hydraulic fluid, you can see it gets highlighted and it'll show you a quantity. You can service motors and the drives. And then another thing you can see here is we can actually see each individual landing gear tire to the front and the main landing gear. And this shows you kind of the condition that the tires are in. Blue means they're in good shape, green means they're in okay shape, yellow means that they're starting to get worn, and then red means it's time to replace. Now, I did do a couple flights with this thing, and I did do a few hard landings just to kind of simulate kind of what you can expect, what you can see. And then when you're ready to replace the tire, you just click that, and then they all will eventually get reset. You can see I'm getting changed around and whatnot. They will not change. They will be changed and become good when it gets to the yellow. So you can see all the ones that were still green are still green. The ones that were yellow are now blue, which means they're brand new. Same can also be done for the brakes. So if you know your brakes are getting no good, you can replace those as well. If they're really hot, you can put cool brakes, and that'll reset the temperatures that the brakes will be at. And then over here to automated ground ops, this is for GSX. You can customize how you want the pushback to be initiated, how much fuel, well, how much time it'll be remaining to get the fuel on board, so on and so forth. So overall, that is pretty much the cockpit. There's one more thing. So right down here you can see we have a blank display. So over here on the right hand side of the autopilot, this is where you can pull up different parts of the aircraft and displays. So we can see what the electrical's looking like. We can go through and see our hydraulics, make sure our hydraulics are good. Fuel, what our fuel flow is doing. So we can see the APU is pulling some fuel from this tanker right here. And you can go through and just see different parts of the aircraft that are important. So overall, the cockpit is very nicely laid out. Everything is pretty realistic to the actual aircraft itself. Everything works as it's supposed to, even down here. Everything functions as it should, all your tests. Everything is the way it should be. So now, let's go ahead, let's go and take a look at the cabin. The cabin is also very nicely detailed. There are different screens and such that are around the aircraft. You can see just how nice these suites are for your first class. Now, because I do have a Delta Airlines livery, we have a little Delta Airlines welcome aboard screen there. Unfortunately, the screens do not work. That's just how they're going to look. There's a lot of things in this aircraft that do not function for the cabin, like the overhead bins. You can't access the lavatories or anything in the galleys at all. But going through, you can see the nice detailing. More Delta 1 suites. You can even see just outside the aircraft, and even still, the detailing of how the sun reflects off the paint there is really, really nice. Got some business class, like premium economy, and then your main economy cabin. So one of the cool details that usually gets missed when it comes to aircraft and cabin is if we actually come up here and we look, we can see that the no smoking and seatbelt signs are eliminated. Now, if I returned to the cockpit and I turned off the seatbelt sign, this would not be illuminated. Now, there's a few aircraft out there that do not do that, which is a nice little detail that, like I said, usually goes unmissed. So you can't access the lavatory there, which is unfortunate. But overall, the cabin, very nicely detailed. Everything looks great. Wish there was a little more functionality with some of the compartments and things, you know, to help simulate more of what it's like to fly with these aircraft. Let's go ahead and return back to the cockpit. We'll shut the door. Have a, oops, wrong button. We'll have a seat. Alright, now that we've gone over everything on the inside and the outside, we're going to fire up the engines. We'll taxi to the runway and get this plane up in the air. Alright, so we got the engines running. We're taxiing over to runway 4 right over here at Sacramento Mather Airport. The one thing I forgot to go over was over here in the PMDG tablet, the performance tool and weight and balance. So in weight and balance, you can customize the weight of the aircraft, how many passengers you want, cargo level, what type of fuel. It'll also display your takeoff weight, your zero fuel weight, your CGs, and your landing weights. And then also using that, you can go through, and what you can do is go to the performance tool. You can type in your, what airport you are at. So let's type this in, KMHR, Sacramento Mather. We'll be taking off from 4 right. It'll tell you the elevation, runway length, everything like that. And then click import from aircraft. It'll tell you what your weight is, what your CG is, what the weather, import your weather, and then you click calculate. And then this puts up everything over here. And then what you'll do is, going into your FMC, you will put in these V speeds. So let's go ahead and come over here and actually do that. Maybe we don't have a route, we're just bringing the aircraft up into the air. So what we will do, just quickly punch some of this stuff in there. So takeoff flaps, simply check. Takeoff flaps are 5, 149, 150, 153. The takeoff flaps are 5. We go 149, 150, and 153. So now that we have that in there, let's see the CG. What was the CG percentage here? It's 26.23, so we'll just put 26 in. 26. And it also gives you your trim as well. So on board this aircraft we have the Boris GE90 sound system. It's a $10 add-on, and it goes through and it completely customizes the entire 777 experience. Everything is all customly made and whatnot. So like, even if I come down here, if I move the throttles, you can hear them squeaking a little bit. It's really cool. Kind of gives it an old, the old plane feel. On the ground, the aircraft feels pretty good to handle. It's not like the fly-by-wire 380 where it takes 200 years to turn. It handles itself, turns the way it's supposed to, despite it being, a massive aircraft. The sound of like the tires going over the tarmac is pretty nice. The default sounds are okay, but the Boris audio pack just does so much better. This makes it sound so much better. You get that classic GE90 spool, the low end bass of the buzz song when you're at toga thrust. It's just fantastic. As we approach the runway, let's make sure our landing lights are on, which they are. We will turn off the taxi lights. We have our beacon and nav lights on. Everything else seems to be the way it should. We're not doing any air traffic today, no ATC. Sky looks great, altimeters are set. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy up in the air. I'm going to change the EFIS range and put it on 10. It's the way I like to have it. I'm going to do a Southwest Airlines style takeoff. We're just going to keep rolling into it. So this runway is more than long enough for this aircraft, and we're pretty light, so we're okay. Just half throttle. That's 80 knots real quick. Has 115,000 pounds of thrust on a light 777. That's V1, and that's rotate. pitch 15 degrees, nose up, positive rate gears going up. And we are rocketing out of this airport. Go flaps 1, we're gonna pull back on the throttles. You see we have a flight over here. We have a little pattern going on. I do have it set to McClellan Airfield, not too far away from this airport, which is where we will fly to. So up in the air, the aircraft handles itself very, very nicely. It is a Boeing, so it's slightly different in the aspects. If you're used to Airbus aircraft, you do need to wiggle your joystick around a little bit more to make sure the aircraft is stable. And that's the Boeing philosophy. You are in control of the aircraft. There isn't really a computer that will micro-adjust all of your movements. We go outside. Just doing a little zoom around of you hear the difference in the sound. About if we go full throttle. Somewhat hear that buzzing sound. True GE90 sound. Absolutely fantastic. A little fast for above 250 knots. Slow it down just a little bit. We're about 3,000 feet. So if I go to my custom view, where it looks like we are a passenger, if I shake the aircraft, you can see the wings flexing. You can hear what sounds like things moving around in the cabin, someone coughing. Boris did a really good job with this audio pack and the visuals of the wings flexing and moving as you move about the aircraft. It's just so cool. It seems like it's a very, very commonly missed detail. Alright. Going to turn right a little bit. One of the cool things about this is if I overbank, right down there you can see the arrow shows you've gone overbank. Really, really cool. Alright. Now, typical flight simulator fashion, it thinks we're in a small aircraft that wants a short base. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. But we are going to be landing on runway 16. You do have to be a little careful with the rudder on this aircraft.
$2,500.
See, we do have an altitude alert. We can ignore that for now. So with the rudder on this aircraft, it's very, very, very touchy. Like I'm going full rudder right there. You can see it just tweaks itself out. All right, let's go ahead and add some flaps. See the airfield in sight. A little bit of an awkward approach, but that's okay. 10 knots headwind as we approach the runway, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to add another notch of flaps. We're going to arm the spoilers, and we're going to go to gear down. Slowly the approach. Now we know gear is down and locked. And the nice thing is now you can hear the wind of the drag being caused by the gear being down. We are now going flaps 30. We have 2 whites, 2 reds. It's kind of hard to see right now just with the way the screen resolution is. Looks like we're getting a little high here. Back on the throttle a little bit
1,000.
more. This aircraft is very light right now, so even if we miss the touchdown box by a hair, we still have enough room in the stop margin. We're getting a little too low. Let's add a little bit of that good old GE thrust here.
500. 400. 300.
There we go, back on track. Try to keep it around 135 knots here.
200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Beautiful. Beautiful touchdown. And apply some brakes. This aircraft's going to stop really quick. I don't even have reversers on. The brakes in this thing are insane. That's down to 14 knots. Absolutely incredible. This aircraft flies so well. Turn off the runway here. And then we will retract the flaps. I'll just go ahead and head to a parking space. I did select one. It's going to be right over here, probably next to this 3.7. Side here. I can't really remember where I put my parking space. I swear it was right here. Yeah, we'll just park. Sacramento McClellan Field. Pretty nicely detailed. So overall, what are my thoughts of this PMDG aircraft? Well, I absolutely love this thing. This is one of my favorite to fly, right next to the Unibuild's A350. There's both those aircraft serve a purpose, and that is, you know, be the best long-haul aircraft there is. I will make a video going over, well, I will compare and contrast both the Unibuild's A350 and this. But overall, this aircraft is just absolutely phenomenal. Like, the way it handles, the realism, what you can do with this aircraft is absolutely incredible. I adore it. Is it worth your money? Absolutely it is. And that's a stop right there. Set that parking brake. So yeah, overall, this aircraft is just absolutely phenomenal. Like, I cannot say enough good things about this thing. At first I was a little skeptical coming into it, just because the first couple flights, you know, I was getting used to the aircraft and I was expecting it to be somewhat similar in feel to the other wide-body aircraft that I've flown before. Completely different animal. If you are someone who is looking to fly an aircraft that is at the top of the iceberg in terms of realism, this is one for you. Now, do you want to get the LR and save yourself, $25 compared to the ER? That is up to you. I went for the LR just because I've always been a fan of the LR version. Obviously, the ER, both the 200 and the 300 ER, have their own niches and things like that, but this aircraft, it's just amazing. Just like with all of the other PMDG aircraft, they do such a good job with being meticulously detailed with how the aircraft handles the textures, the realism, and how you can go through and you can simulate certain failures and such. Like it's just super cool how they have it all laid out. So, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for today's video. Make sure to leave a like, comment down below what aircraft you would like to see next. I do have a few more that I want to do. We're going to do the PMDG 737-900. I just got that aircraft. I'm learning that aircraft, doing a few things with that. I'll also make a video comparing and contrasting this PMDG 777 to the Anybuilds A350, what I like, what I don't like. And we will decide a conclusive winner based on my experience and my opinions on which aircraft is the best. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell to make sure that you are notified for when the next video goes live. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. We are on the road to 100 subscribers. We're slowly getting there. We will see you in the next one.